What's up guys, welcome to Chasing Folklore. I am George Martinez and today we're going to be doing another paranormal story time with my beautiful fiance, Shishel. So if you guys didn't know, this is Shishel, my beautiful fiance. Thanks so much for telling these stories and for just like keeping up with my weirdness because I'm just like weird.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so you said you had to like tell us some stories from Mexico, like from your parents, right?
Yes. Okay, so we have a few stories to tell. I guess I'll start with the first one because it doesn't take place in the same area as the other ones do. So this story actually happened to my mom. So during this time, my parents delivered flowers close to the border. And these deliveries would have to be overnight because it took so long to get there from where we were from Tuxpan. It takes a very long time to get there. So what ended up happening was that they were driving really late at night one night. And my mom looks over outside the window and she's like, oh, I can't believe that these two men working so late at night. So over there in El Rancho, it's kind of, I guess, very much like a farmer's outfit. And so she saw two men walking around with that and they had a machete with them. So my mom, like, you know, says to my dad, it's really weird that there's these two people out here so late at night. And my dad looks at her and he's like, what? And she's like, yeah, like the two men that are walking literally right across the street. And he would just roll up the window and didn't say anything. My mom was just kind of like, okay, like don't respond to me, that's fine. So once my parents reached their destination, my dad had asked my mom, like, are you sure that you saw what you told me you saw? And my mom said, yes, I am telling you right now that I saw these two men carrying a machete right on that road. And my dad was like, okay, like, I'm just asking because I didn't see anything and I'm gonna tell you what had happened. So my dad a month prior was making that journey to go deliver the flowers. So what he saw was actually that two men had been run over and their bodies had been covered by a white sheet. So that's why my dad was so freaked out, because the two men that she said she saw, the two workers carrying the machetes that she said she saw, were actually the men that he saw on the street that were killed the month before. And my mom had no idea. So that's what freaked him out the most, was just like, oh my god, you saw the ghosts of these men that had been killed.
Yeah.
The first story I'm going to tell kind of leads up to all the other things that happened in that house. So there was one night that my parents were in bed and my dad really wanted something to drink, so my mom offered to go get him something. So she got up from the bed and went into the kitchen. And the way that this house was structured, in the bedroom, if you have the door open, you can see a little hallway and then you can see the first part of the kitchen, kind of like the little entryway. So my mom went in there, and as my dad was watching TV, he heard as if my mom had taken a bucket of water and thrown it on the floor. So the way you wash the floors over there, I don't know if it's different here depending on the material that the floors are made of, but that's just how you wash floors there, is you just kind of toss water and then just mop it around. And it was really late at night at this point, so my dad was kind of thinking to himself, like, why is this woman trying to clean the floors? It's so late at night. So he didn't say anything. He was just like, whatever, it's okay. She comes back in with his drink and then just sits in the bed. My dad doesn't say anything because he just thought it was super weird. So he gets up and goes into the kitchen, and the floor is completely dry. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, he just had heard that. So he comes back into the bed and just doesn't mention it to my mom, right? So then a few nights later, they're in bed again, and my mom at this point had fallen asleep. So my dad was up watching TV late at night, because that's what he does apparently. And he swore that in the hallway, and it was kind of dark, he saw a really petite woman with long white hair standing there. And my mom was asleep, so she didn't see anything clearly. So at this point, my dad was in bed looking at the woman. And as he was kind of sinking into the bed a little bit more, he blinked. And just with that small little blink, the woman went from being in the hallway to right next to his bed. And it was the creepiest thing ever. Like, imagine that, having seen this really old short lady sit like right next to your face.
Yeah.
He was telling me that he couldn't move. He couldn't move a muscle. He was just staring at this woman for what he felt was like minutes. And by some miracle, he was able to move, and the second that he was able to move his body, she was gone. So he woke up my mom in a panic and telling her what he saw, and described her like this little old lady with long white hair. And my mom turns to him and she's like, it really sounds like you're describing my grandpa's aunt who had passed away in that house. And that house is extremely old. It's a very old house, and she had lived there for a long time. So it made sense that he saw her there, I guess. But it's just like, it's weird that he felt like it wasn't a good feeling.
Yeah.
You know, like it wasn't something friendly. So I don't know. That was that. He just felt like weird. And then the last story that happened in this house was actually because my dad was gonna go away for work, and he went away for a couple of days at a time every so often because some of the things he had to do were really far away. So they could take up to like 6-7 hours to get there, and there was no point in driving that long to come back to go back the next day. So at this time, my mom wanted to get one of my uncles to stay with her because my dad was gonna be away for a few days. And she did not want to be in that house. I mean, I understand why. There's a lot of creepy things going on. And it was mainly because she swore she was hearing marbles being bounced around or rolling around the entire house. And she would just hear these noises all the time. So she had asked my uncle to come and stay. So he agreed and went to go stay at the house overnight. But the next morning, he went up to her and he's like, I am never staying in this house again. I'm just not going to do it. Your house is creepy and there's noises all night, and I just don't feel good being in that house.
That is like so weird, because like my theory is that like maybe he didn't just hear things, like he maybe saw something that scared him enough to actually never come back. Because like, why would you say that? You know, if it's just a marble or something in the middle of the night, you're like, well, that's you know, that's weird, but I'm not gonna, it's not like I'm not gonna come back ever again. So
yeah.
I think we have to like talk to him and see like if he saw something, because I think he probably saw something really creepy. And also like the thing about the marble, like when Shishel was telling me the story, I was like, wait, like that's something that happened to my mom. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, no, like my mom told me when she was like a little kid, she went to like I guess like sleep over one of my cousins, one of her cousin's house, and she stayed there for like a night. And she said that when she went to bed, she heard like a marble like kind of like bouncing like up and down, up and down, up and down, like all night. And she was like, I'm never gonna go back there again. She like never went to sleep over. She hung out with her cousin, but she was like, I'm not staying at her house anymore. So it was just like a really weird, really weird thing with marbles.
Weird coincidence, yeah. That is super strange.
Maybe I'm gonna look up to see like what this marble thing is, because like it's weird. So the next story is basically something that happened to me when I was a kid. And for you guys to understand the story, I have to tell you about, I guess, how my school worked when I was a little kid. And basically, I went to a school called Escuela República del Perú, which means the School of Peru, sort of. And there was another school that was part of our school, which is really confusing because nobody understood it like back then. But there was like a legend about this school. And apparently, so what happened was, let's say we would go in the morning for school and get out at like 4, and then they would come in at like 4 and just go at night, and then we would switch sometimes. So it was just really interesting at this school, like who they were, and like we had no idea. So the legend kind of states that there was a fire in this school, and that the principal of the school died in the fire along with maybe 5 or 10 of other students. And what happened was that at the end, there was like, they put a photograph, like a portrait of the principal, and they put it up in our school. And it was one of those like really creepy pictures that like when you look at it and you kind of like move, it still like stares at you. Yeah, it's like one of those really, really creepy pictures. So, you know, as a kid, I was like, oh, like we gotta go see it. And we gotta go see it at night. So,
of course.
Yeah, you know, kids do crazy things, and well, I still do them. But, so the point was, one night there was a parent-teacher conference. And the parent-teacher conference took place in the first floor of our school. Our school had multiple floors, so it was the first, second, and third. And this picture was in the 3rd floor. So in the middle of the night, me and my friends decided to go up to the 3rd floor, and there was like maybe 6 of us. And we went up to the 3rd floor, and we went up to the auditorium where the portrait was. And I remember there was like a gate, so we all kind of went up to the gate and just kind of like stared at the picture. And so this is like something that like I always say to myself, I'm like, oh, like this thing like happened. And it happened because there was other people there that also like saw this. So we saw that the picture started like crying, and then like parts of the picture would like peel away, and then like blood started coming out. Oh. Yeah, it was like the weirdest thing. And then like I turned around and I told my friends, and I was like, oh my god, like do you guys see this? Like am I the only one? And they're like, no, like we all see this. This is like insane. So we all started like just like running, you know, we just like ran. because we were kids and we were just like screaming and running, and then like our parents were like, what's going on? And we're like, no, nothing. And we like said we would never talk about it again. So it was one of those like really creepy things. Well, so what do you guys think? Do you think Shisel's story is creepier? Well, she has 2 stories, so maybe they're creepier together, you know what I mean? Or do you think my story is creepier? You know, comment down below and let us know what you think is creepy. Well, you know, she's a more interesting person than me, so I get it. She's also prettier, you know, so.
Oh, no.
And as always, guys, if you guys like stuff like this and you want to see more of Shishel in my videos, please give that thumbs up to let me know you guys want to see her. We also put videos up every Monday and every Thursday, so subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay on top of everything. I guess we'll see you guys on the next chase.